that GRE and Toefl exam is just like the traditional exam, that is being written in class. Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Adobe on the same talk show, Hangouts with Adobe. And this evening I want to share with you guys on how easy you can pass your GRE exam or TOEFL exam, on how you can easily crack and take those exams if you're an aspiring international student. I actually wanted to do this video because a lot of my friends, a lot of aspiring international students have been calling me like, Adobe, how were you able to, pass your GRE exam and your TOEFL exam? I'm like, it's not so easy like we think. It's something that you have to put in your effort, and of course put in every effort that worth it, right? GRE is a graduate record examination and the test of English. They are internationally recognized exam. They are standard exam that is recognized in the whole globe, and it is mostly used for, especially if you want to apply with a scholarship. And tell me, who doesn't want to study with scholarship? We all do, right? Because it's a beautiful opportunity. I mean, if you are opportune to get a scholarship, that is beautiful because it is going to make your work easy. You're not thinking about anything. You're studying under a scholarship. The school is taking care of your tuition. So they would expect you to make a good grade in GRE and make a good grade in TOEFL. So do not expect that GRE and TOEFL exam is just like the traditional exam, that is being written in class, where you of course the person who is going to assess you and who is going to mark and grade you, and then marking regards to basically on what you are doing compared to what your other coursemate is doing. This is not what GRE and TOEFL is all about. It's a standard exam that you are competing with yourself because you want to make a higher grade, whereby different international universities would accept you, and it's going to give you varieties of universities to apply to. So I do advise my my friends, any aspiring student, to put in your effort and try to make the best of it so that you don't have to go back to say you're writing GRE. Nobody advised me like this, so I ended up writing my GRE twice, and then I wrote my TOEFL once because initially I didn't write the TOEFL. I didn't want to write it, but I found out that writing TOEFL would give me an urge, and it's going to give me a whole lot of varieties, right, of universities to apply to. So I ended up writing it, and thankfully I wrote it once, and I had to work hard in order to make it, right? So today I'm going to share 5 good points, I call it sweet points, that is going to help you to ache your GRE and your TOEFL. You just pass it in one sitting. You don't have to go write it over and over again. And the first point is familiarize yourself with your study material. Whatever you're reading to write your GRE or write your TOEFL, you have to get familiar with these things. You have to know it. You have to know, I call it the GRE Bible and the TOEFL Bible. You have to know it from pages to pages, cover to cover. It took me like couple of weeks, couple of weeks to be able to familiarize myself with my study materials and go through the test, make sure I know it in depth of what I am going to face in the exam hall. So I tell my friends, I tell aspiring international students, familiarize yourself with the study materials. It's not something, you don't just jump into exam hall and write it. You have to know what GRE is talking about. You have to know what TOEFL is talking about. You have to know each section. You have to know what you're going to meet. you have to know whatever skill you need to acquire in order to write your GRE and write your TOEFL. And of course, we know that GRE has a three section. It has the writing, analytical writing, it has verbal reasoning, and it has the quantitative, which is the math. And then we also know that TOEFL has four sections, which is the reading, the writing section, the listening, and the speaking section. So you have to know all these things and know how to, get through them in order to pass your GRE and your TOEFL. And the second point is, make sure you take a diagnostic test before you even start preparing yourself for the exam. I call it diagnosis test because it's going to help you to gauge yourself and understand what level you are, understand how deep you have to go into studying and how deep you have to go into preparation. Because you might think, oh, of course I know how to speak English, but it's not the same thing, right? It's not the same vocabulary we use every day. GRE vocabulary and TOEFL words are things you can forget easily because it's not your day-to-day English you speak, right? So it's something that is totally new and it's totally foreign. So you really have to take this prep test. You have to take a diagnosis test to know your level in the speaking, your level in writing, your level in reading, and your level in listening. You want to know your level in the quantitative, and you want to know your level in the verbal reasoning. So that is why I tell people, listen, take the diagnostic test before you even start studying, before so you understand, you gauge yourself to know how deep you have to go into the study material. And the third point is, try to take a class, try to register for a class. It doesn't matter, register for a class. These are points people tend to look over. Don't look over it. You might think GRE or TOEFL is something you sit down or you lay down and read, and then once you're done with reading that big Bible, you're done. No, reading the GRE Bible and TOEFL Bible doesn't help you to pass. Try to take whatever class you have to take. Register for class, meet instructors. They understand because they teach people year into year, and they understand the questions that come out for GRE. They understand what you have to take for TOEFL. So they know they know those words that you need to get used to. They know how to prepare you for your speaking section. They know how to prepare you for the listening, reading, and the writing section. So try to register for a class. Even yet, probably now the virus thing has really made it so tough, but you can register for class online. Everything has really gone online, so you can register for class online. Make sure you get yourself prepared before you go into the exam. And once you've done all these things, your mind is telling you, listen, you are ready, you're prepared. What else? Try to take another online test. There are materials that can help you. There are apps that can help you to take those tests. And when you take them, you see what level you are, because you don't just want to rush into the exam hall and write it. Remember that your GRE and your TOEFL cost a lot. It's about $200. And it's not something you just want to go throw it into the sender, and once you give it to the people, you come out failing. And when you fail, you're still going to register for another one, and that's like you're dashing people $200. Who wants to do that, right? So I tell people, try to take another test, another quick test. Take tests in the TOEFL, take your tests in GRE. Try to examine yourself and track your progress. Track the way you're progressing in the reading, in the writing, in the listening, and in your verbal reasoning. Try to track your progress in the quantitative. When I heard quantitative, I never knew it was like big math. So try to understand your progress and where you are going to, what level you are in whatever preparation you have made. So that would be your final diagnostic test, and that will be your final prep test, before you now get into the exam hall. And lastly, when your mind already convinced you and you're very confident that, oh yeah, you're ready and you're going to crack this exam, you're going to make it, and you're very set for admissions. You're very set to get that admission from any whatever international university you apply to. Then you just register for the exam and go write the exam. But I tell people, in all and in total, in order to sum it up, try to give yourself like 2 to 3 months preparation before you go in for this test, because GRE TOEFL is not a traditional exam. So once your mind tells you and you're very confident that yes, you're ready, you just get into the exam hall, write the exam, and I tell you, you're going to come out successfully. You're not going to write your GRE and your TOEFL over and over again. And for the TOEFL, in the case of the TOEFL, make sure when it comes to the reading section, try to read and take note of the important points when you're reading, because you want to know those words that might appear in the question. And then another thing is, read the question before you even start reading the composition. That is a very smart way of passing your reading section. Read the question, try to read the question twice before you even start reading the composition. And for the listening section, make sure you listen attentively, make sure you concentrate, make sure you focus. As the person is speaking, listen very carefully, and there is no how you're going to fail your listening section. And in the speaking section, try to prepare yourself and learn how to pronounce most of these words you've already, while reading, you're using a sticky note, pasting them on the wall, so that when you're heading out of your room, you're heading wherever, you're seeing them, you're memorizing those words. And as you're memorizing them, pronounce them, and make sure that you know how to pronounce it, so that in your speaking section you are going to crack it, right? So the reading, the listening, the speaking, and the writing section, get ready for it before you do your TOEFL. And even in the writing section, try to have your outline before you write any essay. Make sure you have your outline, and your outline should be your points, your essay points. Make sure that those points, they are connected to each other, so that if you're making your paragraph, the paragraph 1 is going to connect to paragraph 2. We call it the linking words. At times, not just using the linking words, but make sure that the paragraphs, they are all linked to, together, and your paragraph makes meaning from from paragraph 1 meaning to the paragraph 2 meaning, and like that. And there is no how you're not going to pass your writing section. And when it comes to GRE, and this is actually for the GRE, remember to have at least 4 school code before you get into the exam hall, because that is the free opportunity you have in order to send your score to at least 4 international universities you want to apply to. So, but that is just for the GRE. I don't think this applies to the TOEFL. And why not? Once you're convinced that all these things you can do it, do not hesitate, do not take time, do not have any fear in you. Just be confident that you are going to make and pass your GRE, your TOEFL in one sitting. And I wish any aspiring international student all the best of luck and all success, that you're going to take your GRE and your TOEFL in one sitting. And of course, your dream school is what you're going to get. And I'm going to stop the video here, and I am going to make another video on how you can prepare yourself for applying into the university of your choice, and how you are definitely going to smack that admission, get that admission, and travel to whatever country of your choice you want to travel to study. So watch out for that video, and I will see you guys in my next video. Thank you for hanging out with Adobe.